looked at some of like the CSS stuff that we did last session. So you had like some of that stuff done over the week, so we can just continue with that instead of starting from the beginning again. And also just to go over what we're gonna be like, all the topics that we're gonna be touching today. So first we're gonna continue. First we're gonna do some notes on page data and how we're gonna handle web page data using JavaScript, because that's like really an essential part of our because that's an essential part of our restaurant project. And then we're going to go over citation notes. That just means how to like cite the code that you're using, just so that like you know what's happening in every part of your code, in case, not in case, like when you just like don't work on your project for like a week or so and then you come back, you want to know what's going on with it and where you left off, right? So we want to know how we properly mention like what we worked on when we were working on the project and that stuff. So first of all, let's begin with handling web page data. And also, can everyone see my screen right now? Okay. Also, I just posted the link to the slides in the meeting chat, so if you want to follow along with that also, that'd be great. All right, so first of all, we already talked about how we create like variables. So we begin with the word let. You guys, if you have some kind of experience with JavaScript, you know that we also use var for when we're declaring a variable. But we're going to be using let for like throughout our project, so just remember that. So this is where we're initializing the variable called is checked. So we're doing let is checked equal, which pretty much means initialize, to document.getElement by ID check ID dot checked. So we never like really learned much about this second part of the code, the from document to checked. So when we're doing document.getElement by ID, we're getting the ID of what the user is typing in, and then we're storing whatever they typed in into the variable, which is checked. And check ID, so if you guys remember last time we made some buttons, we made text boxes, and we also made the drop downs. So when they click on the drop down menus and they select anything from there, they're going to be able to wait, maybe I could just show you guys. So when they click toast, or if they click tea, each one of these options has a unique ID, right? So over here, we're pretty much getting that ID. And since this is like referring to checkboxes, it says dot checked. But if we were using this for drop-down menus or text boxes or buttons, then it would be dot value here instead of checked. So this would be dot value then. And so this is the ID that we're giving it in the header, in the head tags of the text, of the code, I mean. And then we're just putting whatever they type in or whatever option that they selected. So if they selected T, over here, we're giving the is checked T, the value of T. So over here, this says get the Boolean value of the property checked, either true or false. So if you guys remember, we also talked about Boolean values. So just to recap on what Boolean values are, Booleans just mean true or false, on or off, or yes or no. So there's only two values for Boolean values, and they're usually the opposites. And they're usually the opposites. Not usually, they are the opposites. And then, so over here in the is checked, I put booleans over here because that's just what we're checking for this specific value, but this this case isn't going to apply to everything. So I wouldn't really mind what it says over here. Just focus on remembering that it's dot value for any kind of drop-down menu, text box, or button, and that over here we're getting the value that we're giving it in the in the in the body tags of our code. So remember, this is like what's actually showing up on the web page in those tags. We're giving this ID to it, where we actually create the checkboxes. And this follows the same pattern again. So over here, since this was a checkbox, we had .checked. And over here, since this is going to be a value, because this is a text box, right? So we're we're first creating a variable called name, and then we're getting the ID by doing document.getElement by ID, and then we're actually putting the ID of that text box, and then we're doing .value, because this would be going under the .value. And that's how we store whatever they type in into the variable called name. And that's pretty much what over here in the red text box is. That's pretty much what they're saying over here too. So it says we're first accessing the document object, which is the text box, and then we're finding the element with an ID of name ID, which is the specific text box that we're typing, or the user is typing into, and then we're getting the value that the user typed in into the text box by doing .value and then by doing getElement by ID. And then we're getting the value, and then the data type for this value is going to be a string, which is why we did .value. And then we're storing the string value into the variable name, which we just declared as we typed the first line of code. Does anyone have any questions on this? Or is there any part of the 2 slides that we just went over that we should go over again, just like a little review? Let me know in the meeting chat and we can go back. But for now, I will be moving forward. So next, since in our website, we're calculating the price of things after we select the food items that we want, right? We want to calculate these when we click submit order. So to do that, we need to handle numbers as well as we also need to handle decimals. So first of all, does anyone know what the value of sum is going to be when we do the string 5 plus the string 7? Type it into the meeting chat what you guys think that this is going to be equaling. What sum is going to be initialized to over here when we do first plus second. So first we're giving the variable first the value of 5, and then we're giving the variable second the value of 7. But remember, these are in strings. So now what's sum going to equal when we do first plus second? All right, so I understand why this could be 12, but over here, remember that these are in quotes. So that means that this is a string. So when we add 2 strings, they're just going to be concatenated together. So over here, what we're actually doing is, first is 5 plus 7, right? So now sum is actually going to be equaling 57. And this isn't actually a number. This is a string. Because remember, whenever we have quotes around anything, it's a string. Oh, I see one person did put 57. Nice. So yeah, I hope you guys understand why this will be 57. It's because these 2 values, they're strings. They're not actually numbers. So instead of 5, if we had H, and over here, instead of 7, if we had I, we would be adding H and I. And what do you guys think the answer is going to be? Yeah, it's going to be hi. And this is called concatenation when we're adding two strings together. And it can also be called concatenation when we add a string plus a number, but there must be a string or some kind of variable present in the value that we're trying to add. So over here, this is going to be called hi. But over here, when we're actually adding the number 5 plus 7, because if you guys notice, there's no quotes around these. There was a quote around the 5 and the 7 over here, which made it equal 57. The variable sum was equaling 57 because of that. But over here, we have two numbers. So what's the value of this going to be? Type it into the meeting chat, guys.
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah?
So what if there's like a if you want like to make the 3 letter words or like the 5 letter words, do you like example like the do you do like T plus H plus E?
No, we wouldn't do that. If you could just make it equal that. We're just talking about how you add things together. This isn't to make the word high. This is just like what would happen if you're adding two strings together.
No, like well, yeah, that's what I'm trying. Like, but I meant like if you want to make like this like a bigger string, do you do like the 3 of them and then like if there's like more than two, do you do
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm
the
talking about. So we wouldn't actually do that. This is just to see if we're adding two, when we add two strings, what the variable is going to be. So this could even be cat plus d. So then this would be cat d, you know? So the strings could be like however long we want, and we'll get more into that as we get more coding into our actual project. So yeah, your question will probably be more clarified then.
or like what if like you just want to make the word cat? So do you do like CA plus T?
Then you could just make first equal cat.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
get it.
All right, so I see in the chat a lot of people typed in 12, which is correct because if you guys notice, there's no quotes around these, and these are actually just integer values. So when we have 5, this is called an integer. So we're initializing first to the value 5 integer, and then we're initializing the variable second to the value 7 integer. So now when we add 5 plus 7 over here, we get 12. But how about the third example? I think the middle example was pretty simple for all of you guys to understand, but let's look at the third example here. What do you guys think the output of this gonna be? If this is going to be? So what's like the value of sum when you console.log it? All right, so I see some people are typing in 57 in the chat, and that is correct. So we're adding 5 to the value 7, which is going to be giving us the value 57. And now this is part string and this is a string. So now when we add more values to this, it's just going to be concatenating it because we're just turning this into a string. All right, so moving on. Now we're going to be talking about how to parse an integer. So over here, we talked about how when we have two string numbers, when we're adding them together, we're just concatenating them to be 57. But what if we actually want to add these two numbers, but we're taking them in as strings? So we want to add 5 and 7 to equal 12 and not 57, but they're both in the type string, in the data type of string. So how can we add them together to equal 12 instead of 57? We use parsing we use parseInt function for that. So it takes a string value and returns an integer. So remember, an integer is just a regular number. So to return an integer over here, we're first declaring the variable first to be initialized to 5, which is a string since it's in quotes. And then we're using the function called parseInt. So in VS Code, we have some built-in functions, and parseInt is one of them, right? So remember, VS Code is our coding platform, and in that we have functions, or in JavaScript in general, we just have functions that we can use to make our lives more simple instead of making the function parseInt ourselves. So what parseInt pretty much does is it takes the value 5 as a string, and now it turns it into a number. So now 5 is actually just going to the variable first is actually just going to be equaling 5 and not 5 in quotes. So now this is actually a number. So now we're going to be doing the same thing to 7. So we're declaring a variable called second, initializing it to the string 7, and then we're making second be equal to parseInt of 7. So when we parseInt the variable second, or also parseInt the number 7, we're actually making second equal 7 instead of 7 as a string. This is now an integer. Both of these are now an integer. So now when we add 5 plus 7, we're actually going to be getting sum to equal 12 and not 57, which is what happened over here since we didn't parseInt it and we had both of them be strings. Does anyone have any questions on this? All right, so we can also parseInt floating point numbers. So when we have a decimal, for example, so if we had so over here, instead of 5, if we had 5.2, or instead of 7, we had 7.3, these are now not considered integers, but actually doubles. So although they're still a number, they're not an integer because they have a decimal value. Now they're called a double. However, we're not going to be really focusing on doubles too much today. We're just going to be focusing on turning strings to integers, or strings to decimal numbers. So first over here, we have the variable first being initialized to 3.14 and the variable second being initialized to 2.57. So now when we add these together, you guys already know the answer. Just type it in the chat real quick. Yep, that's right. It's just going to be 3.14, 2.57. And in fact, it's actually not going to be having a space in between. It's actually not going to be even having a space in between because there's no space in the strings, right? So it's just going to be like this. So now when we add 3.14 and 2.57 together as strings, this is going to be the result. But now when we do parse float, since this is not just a number like 3, this is 3.14, which is a decimal number, we want to use the function called parse float, which is also inbuilt just as parseInt, instead of using parseInt. So now when we apply the function called parse float, and as the parameter, we put 3.14 encompassed in the variable first, we get first to equal 3.14 as a decimal number and not a string. Yep, I see a lot of people got the correct answer in the meeting chat. That's great. So what do you guys think the answer of the value of sum is gonna be in example 2? Type that into the chat too. Because now that we also declare the second variable to be 2.57 and parse float that, and now second is going to be equaling 2.57. What do you guys think the answer is going to be? Yep, the answer is going to be 5.71 because now we're actually adding the decimals instead of just concatenating them together, which is the case of the first example since they're both strings. Over here, we're doing concatenation, and over here, we're actually adding the decimal values. So now, sum is actually going to be 5.71. Does anyone have any questions on any of the things that we covered in the slideshow? This could include any questions about floating point numbers, so using parse float, parsing an integer, using parse int, or how data type matters, and concatenation. Any questions to go over any of that? Type them into the chat, or you can turn on your mic and just let me know, and we can answer those and then move on to comments, documentations, and citations.
So in session 3, like like the app where you order the food, like the food app.
Yeah, the
In
food
session,
web page.
I didn't get to finish that in last one. So are we gonna be doing like anything about the? Are we gonna like coding? Are we gonna be coding anything about the thing?
Yeah, we're gonna be continuing that after the notes.
Oh, so
This is
but
true. Bless you. How would I?
I didn't I didn't get to finish the the coding this whole thing.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't think a lot of people finished that. We'll be continuing on that.
Okay. I only got to like putting the name up like like the cafe thing. I only got to put up the name.
Yeah, that's
That's it.
completely fine. We'll just be continuing on with that wherever anyone is. That's totally fine. Everyone's at different places right now. We're all working at different paces, so that's completely fine. If you're only done with like just a header or two, this shouldn't take too long, so you'll have lots of time to work on that.
Are you okay, Ma, Duty? You have the recordings, right? So you can look into them as well after the.
Yeah, before class, I got like some time to look at it, and I was like looking at the video. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Okay,
I'll listen.
so now
I'll
let's
listen.
move on to the comments and documentations and citation notes. This is going to be really important throughout our website because as I was talking about earlier, so when we like code something and then we don't look at it for a week and then we go back to our restaurant like code and VS Code, we want to know what we were doing earlier and where to continue from and also the purpose of each function, especially since this is your guys' first project. We want to look at each function and know the purpose of it when we're coding it, what the input is, what the output is of the function, and the purpose, and also how it works. And we want to mention comments for each line of code too, just so that we know exactly what's going on. So on top of each function, we want to have a comment like this. We want to have the description, which is going to be briefly describe the purpose and or function of the code. And then we want to have a citation, which is going to cite the origin or the author of the function if the work isn't yours, which we're probably not going to be having this for our webpage since you guys are going to be coding it on your own. and we're not using any outside sources. And next we want to have an input or parameters section. This is just going to describe what goes into the function as an input, and then the output/return is just going to describe what comes out of the function as an output, or what the purpose of that function is. So if you look over here, this is what it actually looks like in code. Oh, I just saw that I had a question about when we would use this in real life situations in code. So were you referring to the handling web page data slides, like when we're using parsing an integer, or are you talking about like the comments and citations? Okay, so the handling web page data. Right. So when we're solving real world problems, so like if we were trying to over here when we were trying to calculate the price. So like if an actual legitimate restaurant was trying to get orders online, or if you're ordering pizza online and you were trying to choose what kind of, so when you're ordering a pizza, pretty much the cost of, or like the value of your pizza isn't going to be just $10 or just $15. There's definitely going to be some kind of decimals, like 15.3, 15.7 cents, or I mean $15 and then 7 cents. So there's always going to be floating point numbers like that. And when we're adding those in our actual code, we want to be able to use these. And we want to be able to use the function called parse float to be able to change it into an actual decimal, if we're taking it in as a string, that is. I hope that answered your question. So continuing with the documentation example. So first over here, we have a function called inject greeting. And in this function, we're concatenating something. We're concatenating the string, right? So over here, we're having a comment that mentions that. And I would go as far as to say that you could even have a comment even after this, and just like you could put something like output string is added extra value, or anything of that sort. You know, you want to just explain every single line of code so that you yourself know exactly what's going on. And if it's a really simple thing and you really don't feel the need to do it, then I wouldn't really stress too much on that. But over here, when we have a whole function and you want to know what's going on with it, you do want to include a description, an input, and an output. And over here for citations, I just took it off, but if this is original code, you could also just put NA for not available or none available. So yeah, so we want to have short and descriptive comments throughout the code or documentation, and we want to have a descriptive comment at the beginning of the function as a description, citation, input, and output. And over here, you can see more short descriptions of code as we see more code and go along with it. And an important aspect is right here, we're getting an image, pizza.jpg. So when we're actually getting an image and using that in our web page, we want to really make sure that we're having an author, a description, and a source for that. So for the author and description, I just put like pizza picture of blah, 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 or where it's from. And then for the source, we want to have a URL of like where it's actually from and its source, in other words. So yeah, we always want to do that for every single picture variable that we use. And that's pretty much it for the comments and documentations. If you guys ever want to go back and look at this, I'll just put it into the chat. So does anyone have any questions on the notes that we covered today? If not, we'll get started with coding with the coding topics of today.
Well, I don't have a question on the notes, but like, so you know, like you're sending the link for the
Yeah.
slideshow.
Yeah.
So when I click that, either it makes me only go in there, and then doesn't let me get in the Zoom, and then I have to be like in the Zoom, and then I have to watch yours instead.
Yeah, those are just some slides that you can like use throughout the week if you want to look at any notes, if you want to go over anything. You could also just watch the video on YouTube. But yeah.
Yeah, I want to look at the notes while you're teaching, but then like it only lets me do one thing. So if I just go on something else, it doesn't let me like come back. Like it doesn't let me put like half screen on the Zoom and then half screen on the slideshow. Because normally when I do something else, like I get to do like it works on two sides. So different things on each side.
Yeah, you could just stick to Zoom and just watch me because I'm also just going to be going over the same slides. I'm just offering the slideshow in case you guys want to look at it throughout the week as notes. So yeah, you could just stay on the Zoom because I'm going to be going over the same slides, so there's no difference.
Is there any chance you can send the slideshow to WhatsApp?
I think the slideshows are in the WhatsApp too, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I didn't see
They
it
get
last
shared
time.
after every meeting, so yeah.
It's
Shashankam
okay.
puts it in there, so you can
Yeah,
access them after the meeting.
yeah, it didn't work last time, but it's okay. I'll just watch yours.
I think you want to look again because it's definitely there. You might just have just missed that text when there's like usually a text of like the review of everything that we went over, and also there's code snippets and also the slides.
Is it where the link for the YouTube video is? Is it on that thing?
I think it might be that. I'm not sure. I'll look at it again and I'll let you guys know on WhatsApp if I find it.
I tapped every three links and then the slideshow didn't come. So yeah.
All right, so I'll look over that and let you know. But right now, you guys can open up your webpage that we were working on earlier, your restaurant webpage. We named it as finalproject.html last time.
I wasn't here yesterday, or last class, so are you gonna show me the code or?
Yeah, this is all the code that we did, and we just kind of started off with this, and then we let people just add more stuff and try to make it look similar to the how the final project should be looking, which is let me open it up how it should be looking. So this is what we want our final project CSS to look like. So you guys can work on trying to get it to look like this right now. I'll give you guys some time. And while you guys do that, here's the code from last time. So last time we just chose a background color for this, and we set up a basic drop-down menu, which is this right here. And then we also gave it a header, a smaller header, and then we made a text box and a button in the body tags, which is what actually shows up on the website as a reminder. And then we also just made the style tags in which we had like the color, the font family, and how we want the text to be centered. And we also had the script tags, which is actually going to be holding our function code. So yeah. So if you guys could continue with this and try to get it to look a bit like how the final project is supposed to look. And if you guys have any questions on how you'd format something, let me know. But right now, we're just going to have 10 minutes to work on this, and then I'll continue by talking a bit more on how you can add more stuff, and then you guys can have some more time to continue working on getting it to look like this. So first, you guys, as a reminder, first we want a header, and then we want to say menu. This isn't required, but have some kind of smaller header. And then have a appetizer drop-down menu with 3 options and a fourth one being none. And then have a main course drop-down menu also with 3 options with the fourth one being none, and the same for beverages. And then I want you guys to have a name and then have a text box for the name, and then a mobile number and then a text box for that, and then a checkbox for if you'd like text alerts about your order. Also have this text showing up on your web page, and then a text box for the tip amount, and then finally have a button for submitting the order. So yeah, that's what you guys should be working on right now. And for the checkbox, I know we didn't really go over this, so I'll just be showing you guys how to do that right now, and then you guys can continue. So first, we want to have this text show up, right? We want the text, check if you'd like your order, if you would like text alerts about your order. So I want this right after the drop-down menus and the name and mobile numbers. I'm just gonna put it right here in line 30 after the drop-down menu, and I'm gonna type in check if you so that's gonna be the text that I have, and then I want to have an input type. And I want to initialize the input type to checkbox. And remember, we talked about how we get the ID of what the users are typing in or selecting. So over here, if they selected the checkbox, I want to know that they selected it. And I want to be able to get whether they selected it or whether they didn't select it. So for that, we need to assign this checkbox an ID. And for the ID, I'm just going to put check ID. And then we're going to end this tag. And now I want to have 2 break tags. And now when I do Control Save and save the code on my VS Code platform, and there's no white dot right here, and I go back to my web page and I refresh, you can see that I have the checkbox for this.
I have a question.
Yeah?
So for the header, the word before the cafe, you know the one where you put your name? Can we put our names instead?
Over here? Oh yeah, you guys can name this whatever you want. I just made a street food hut. You guys can make it like an Italian cafe or like a pizza restaurant, like anything. You guys
No,
could do whatever.
remember like where you put Rushita's cafe?
Yeah.
Can I put my name instead
Yeah,
of
that's what
yours?
I'm talking about. You could put anything. That's what I'm saying over here too. You could put anything for your final project. You could name it whatever.
Oh, so you can put like my name and then like the word cafe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I I can't see the full length. Can you put it
Oh
in
yeah.
the so I can? All right, thank you.
So that's how you make a checkbox. But if you guys have any questions on how to make any of the other attributes that we need to have on our final web page, let me know in the chat and we can go over that too. But otherwise, just keep working on that. And if you have any questions throughout, just let me know. Because I definitely don't expect you guys to know how to do that, all of that. I'm just saying that you guys should try to do it, but I know there's definitely going to be questions. So don't feel like you need to know how to do this right now. And definitely ask questions in the meeting chat. And I'm just going to have it side by side so you guys can see what the final web page is supposed to look like and the values that you need to have on it. So I'm just going to have this over here. Also, guys, just to mention, over here, this is not how your code is supposed to look like. I just didn't format it correctly because I was just trying to show how to make like a drop-down menu, a button, a text box, and a checkbox. But this is how yours should be looking, so don't compare yours to this. This is not how it's supposed to look. This is just a work in progress right now. I need to correctly space everything. This is how your final web page is supposed to be looking like. The green one. Okay, so I had some questions on how you get your code to align like this. So first over here, if you want first we want our headers to be aligned in the middle. So for that, over here, I have text align center. And then for the actual appetizer drop-down menus, I'm not really putting any kind of like, I guess like text align on it. So over here, you could just put H1 and H5. So now these values are only going to be applying to these two headers because now we named these H1 and H5 for only these two headers. So now this text align, this isn't going to apply to all this, or I mean all the drop-down menus. So now when we click refresh, you can see that we have our drop-down menus formatted how we want it to be formatted in the actual web page. And over here, if you guys want to make this go to the next line, we need to put break tags. So right after, over here, we have the code for the drop-down menu. So right after this, if we have 2 break tags and we click save and refresh, you can see that now it goes to the next line.
Can you scroll up?
Yep, so over here, the body tag, this means the whole web page. But now when we have the H1 and H5 tags, this is only referring to Rushita's Cafe and please pick a food item and order. So it's only referring to those 2 strings. So once again, reminder, this is what your end goal should be like.
Can you scroll down? Hello?
Scroll down where?
Like to the bottom?
There is no bottom over here. This is all the code there is.
Oh yeah. Yeah, can you stay there?
Yeah, that's where I was.
I have a question.
Yeah.
All of my parentheses, like brackets, they have a red line under it.
Um, what do you mean? Where?
Like in line 14, underneath it, there's a red squiggle.
Underneath your curly
Yeah,
braces?
yeah.
Oh, that could happen when you don't have like a curly brace to go with it.
I have it after H5.
Do you want to share your screen?
Sure. It's disabled. It says host disabled at the screen.
Just paste your code into the meeting chat.
Oh, okay. Second. I sent it to you.
Yeah, let me take a look. Is all of this red for you too?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so that's because you put a double quote right here instead of a single quote. So this should just be a single quote right here. You had put this quote instead. You put this double quote.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Now,
Did that fix it?
yeah, and I have another one under 10, line 10.
Okay, so all right, so that's because you put an extra. Mm, I think that's because you put an extra number right here. If you delete the 0.295, I don't think you should be having any more errors. Did you delete that? And now does it have any red lines?
No, thank you.
Yep. All right, so can everyone give like an update in the meeting chat on like where your website is, how your web page looks right now, and like what you're struggling with? If you have any questions, you could also ask that in the meeting chat right now. Let's just like regroup real quick on what everyone's working on so we can just know where everyone is. All right,
Um,
so it's almost the same for someone. That's great.
so I'm like half done, and then but like the problem is that like when I do Control C or S, and like the thing doesn't come on my like screen, like my playground.
Wait, what?
So like I'm almost like half done. Like I'm on line 20.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I do Control C, like my playground, the
Wait,
thing doesn't yeah, the thing doesn't come up on that.
what do you mean by playground?
Like the thing where you like your green screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my like playground. So so
Oh,
on that green screen for me, so I already put the background color, but then when I do Control C,
it's
it
because you're
doesn't like,
supposed to do Control S. You have to Control S to save it. S stands for save. C stands for copy. So you want to do Control S.
okay, I tried that, but then I don't think it worked. But
And then did you refresh your web page right here? Did you click refresh?
I'll try it one more time right now.
All right, so I think some people are almost
Yeah, I
done
did.
styling theirs. It works.
The background color is not coming up.
Did you add a background color like this?
Yeah, I put aqua.
All right, we can take a look at that in a few minutes. So just give me a sec. Can some more people update in the meeting chat where you guys are currently? Yeah, so I want you guys to do all the options right now, not just the appetizer. Try to get like everything done. Like the point for the meeting today, like try to get your whole CSS and HTML done. And then we can move on with the functionality in the next few meetings. So also remember you guys want to have a price to everything. And remember, if you want to have full name appear here in the text box, so in line 37 over here, you guys can see that I made a text box. In the placeholder, you want to put full name. That's what placeholder stands for. It's like this gray text that appears in the text box telling you what to type in. So you want to have that in the placeholder for a full name. So where is everyone right now? Like, are you guys done with like the appetizer, main course, beverage, and you guys are working on the text boxes, or are you guys done with the text box and the button, and you guys are working on the drop down menus? All right, great. So it looks like everyone's making good progress. Adit is done with the appetizer tip and submit button order and the headings. That's really good progress, you guys. Try to work on the other drop-down menus too now, the main course and beverage. And then you guys can even like focus on if you want to like change like the text, like font, you can change like the colors and all that. So yeah, everyone's making great progress. Good job, you guys. And at the end of the meeting, do you guys want to all take turns like kind of showing your webpage so far? Of course, it doesn't have to actually like be fully done, but it'd be great if you guys in the next 20 minutes or next 15 minutes, if you guys could get like most of your webpage done, and we can all take like each person can like share their screen and we can all look.
How about like my background,
Oh
like
yeah,
the
do you want to
color?
share your screen right now? We can take a look at that, or you can just copy and paste your code into the meeting chat, and I can look at it.
You mean like which screen, the green screen or like my code?
Yeah, copy your code and paste it into the meeting chat.
Can I share my screen instead?
Sure.
It says hold. So can I share my screen?
Yeah, try to see if you have access right now. Wait, Shashank uncle, could you give everyone the access to be able to share their screen? Do you want to try sharing your screen right now and see if it works?
I just tried. Yeah, it still says it. So did you get it to work? Hello? Did you get it to work? Hello?
Wait, do you want to try doing that again? Try sharing your screen.
It still says that. Or maybe I think I can call from Shashank. I can call to Shashank uncle's number and then I can like video call him and then I can like, you know, I can probably I can take a picture of my code and then I can send it in the group, maybe.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm gonna try to work this out right now. Just like stay for a few minutes, okay?
Okay.
I think you can try now. I just made you a co-host.
Yes. Did you call me?
Yeah, try sharing your screen now.
Yeah, it
Wait,
lets me.
actually,
It lets me.
okay, yeah. Make share your screen.
Yeah, I'm sharing it. I'm sharing it. Hello?
Oh, sorry, you couldn't hear me. I was saying that I could see your webpage and that you could just like copy paste. I mean, not copy paste. You can, I'm gonna copy paste the code into the chat.
Okay.
Can you just text something in the chat real quick so I could send it to you particularly?
Okay.
Just say hi or something.
Okay.
All right, you can stop sharing your screen right now and just look at what I just sent you.
What do I do? Um,
Okay.
Stop.
So does
Um,
everyone want to share their screen right now so we can look at how everyone's progress is coming along? Lakshmi, do you want to share your screen? Oh, if you're working on a different device, I'm not sure you can share your screen then. We can't do that, but if anyone's working on the same device, do they want to share their screen? All right, so I got a question about your webpage not showing up. So if it isn't showing up on Google, did you try going to your Finder or your folders if you're using an Android and just searching it up over here? Because it might be that. All right, so I see that there's a few more people joined. So if any of you guys want to share your screen, I just gave Liki Ande the access. Oh, Ada, do you want to share your screen? You can like
Yeah,
show your
yeah, I'm
project.
sharing my screen. Do I have like permission to share my screen?
Yeah, I just made you co-host right now, so you can do it now.
Okay. So can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it. Do you want to like just go over like why you chose some things and how you did it? Just like
Okay.
a brief
So
explanation.
so my restaurant is just like a regular like Indian restaurant. So I have appetizer, main course, and drinks. And I added like a few appetizers with like different prices, and then a few different main courses with prices, and then drinks too. And then I like put first name and last name. For the example of like the last name, I have to change it because there's like a error.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I just have to like label this like tip amount, and then
Mm-hmm.
I got submit order.
Oh wow, I really like your webpage. It looks so like It looks nice. I love the colors and the font that you chose and the variation in the font between like the headers and like the appetizer and the main course. It looks great. Nice job on it.
Thank you. I was just wondering, like, can we make like some of like the text in like the center? Like, I can do that with like header and like the rest of the thing, but I don't know how to make like, for example, like first name, tip, and submit order. I
Yeah.
wanted to put that in the middle while like the selections were in the side. So
Oh,
would
yeah,
that
for
do that?
sure. You can do that. So, you know how we had like the H1 and the H5, like in the style tags, we had like curly braces and we
Yeah.
had like the font family, and then we put text align center.
Yeah.
So, in the body tags, you can also put text align center there too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if you
But
put text align center there, all of this is going to be there then.
but like the appetizer or like
You
the
want those to
food
stay there,
selection
right?
and this is gonna be in like the same body tag, is it not?
Yeah, that's true. So you want to give the appetizer, the main course, and the drinks a different value then. You want to like
Okay.
name those like separately.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Nice job.
Thanks.
Okay, does anyone else want to go next and share their screen? If you guys have any questions, you could also ask right now. Okay, share your screen. The I see that someone just texted in the chat. Oh, they want a few minutes. Okay, we'll wait for that. And I see some more people just joined. I'm gonna give you guys the co-host. Okay, Sanjay, I see that you just joined. Do you want to share your screen and show your webpage? If you're some in like a good place with it, you can like just explain your webpage a little bit. That just went right before you. Oh, okay, if you didn't finish, that's completely fine. You can show like your progress if you would like. Otherwise, we can move on. And if someone else wants to share their screen.
Um, so my control C, when I try to like save it, it's not working. It stays the same, my screen.
Yeah, you have to type Control S.
I tried that too. Still don't work.
If both of those don't work, when you go to the top in VS Code and select File, you can click Save All, and then refresh your web page.
Click file.
Mm-hmm. All right, I see that they're ready, so you can share your screen now. To the person that just texted in the, just typed in the meeting chat.
So can you see my
Yeah,
screen?
we can see your screen.
All right. So this is kind of like my I have to change Mexican. I just changed it to Indian. So for my appetizer, I just created some like toast, some chicken, and some other stuff. I need to change the items, but if I hit chicken, I can just choose the spiciness, and then for chicken and mutton, I can just and it's basically the same design format as yours.
Wait, I love how you put like mild and like that stuff. That looks so cool.
So yeah, I went on to W3 schools like you suggested, and I kind of
Yeah.
found some more code to help me with that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it looks great. Nice job.
thank you.
Looks very well done. All right, so if anyone else wants to share their screen or just want to talk about it, you can let me know in the meeting chat. But otherwise, you guys are free to leave. That's it for today's meeting. Thank you so much to the two people that shared their screens. I really loved your web pages, and that was great progress for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. Bye.
Um,
If you have any questions, you can stay and I'll answer them, and then we can leave the meeting.
I put my question in the chat, like,
Yeah.
so
So, how would you label the order information separately from the food? What do you mean by that?
So like I told you how I wanted like the order information to be in this like center, like first name and
Oh,
tip amount.
that. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
That
I get what you mean. All right. Wait, let me look into that for a sec. Give me like
uh
a minute.
if you want I can present my code.
No, I get what you mean. You can if you want. We can look at that too. But
Okay.
So, you know, like how I wanna like control save my thing.
yeah, I'll get to your question in just a sec. Give me 5 minutes to um deal with Adit's issue right now, okay?
Okay.
Okay, yeah, there's like a way to do this. Let me just look into it for a sec.
Okay. I like tried making like instead of doing body, like did the
Yeah?
same thing but like with a different like name. And I tried that
Yeah.
but it didn't work.
Oh, yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. So, what I just thought of, you could like do. Wait, let me try it and see if it works, and then I'll tell you.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So, let me just share my screen,
Okay, I'll
and you can
stop.
see what I did to do that. Okay, so you want your header to be in the middle, but you want the appetizer to be in the side, and you want the last text boxes and stuff to be in the middle again, right? Like that's pretty much what you want, right? Adit?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I thought I was unmuted. But
Oh
yeah,
no.
that's what I want.
Okay. So what I did was I made a new H6 tag. So this means that it's going to be even smaller. So I have that. So I have the H6 tag and then I put high like so over here you could put like whatever you want like um the tip percent or anything like that. And
Yeah.
then instead of like just doing this outside, I put like a text box inside of it, inside of
Oh,
the tags.
okay.
So you could put the text box inside the text, and then over here, I put like H6, and then I put text align.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Do you get why that would make sense? Do you
Yeah,
want this
it
code
did.
or like I'm just gonna leave it on the screen so you can copy it down?
Yeah, it's fine. I like got the idea.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Yep. All right. So I think someone else had a question